Alright, so today I have LME Electrical, I have Luke with me, and we're going to talk about the Tesla charging system in the home. So what we aim to do is answer some of the questions about if you buy a Tesla, if you're thinking of buying one, how do you install the charging system in your home and how do you keep it charged when you're not at the supercharger? So Luke, thank you for joining me.
Pleasure, thanks for coming in, Todd.
All good. Alright, so maybe we'll start with your journey with Tesla, because I know it goes back to the beginning, so let's start there.
Yeah, it does. I got introduced to Tesla from a client of mine. So we initially did their installation of their showroom out at Meadowbank.
Nice.
So yeah, that was a few years ago when they had the Roadster.
Yep.
So yeah, they weren't selling as many as they are now, so we didn't do too many installations, but certainly now they've got the Model S. We're fortunate enough to do all their installations, or the majority of.
That's fantastic. So when someone buys a Model S, Tesla will, you're on the list of one of the people they say, Luke, go out and get that installed.
Yeah, that's right. So they'll say LME is our preferred installer, and
Nice.
the client will contact me either via email or phone call and ask me a few questions, and if needed I'll go out on site and have a look and provide them with a quotation.
Cool. So let's talk about the quotation process. So there's lots of different types of houses and units and everything else. What does the process normally look like? So if someone calls you today, they've just placed their deposit on their Model S, probably Model 3 is a long way away, but for the Model S, what's that process look like from the day they call you?
So they'll usually call me up, and one of the first questions is how much will it cost to do the installation, which varies basically. So you've got your meter box, wherever they want to have their Tesla charging unit installed, which is generally in the garage or a carport.
Yeah.
So for us, for every home, the length of run's different and access is different. Whether or not there's access under a floor or in a roof, that determines basically how much it costs.
So what we're talking about here is you have the car parked in a particular location, wherever they want to park their car, and then we have where the power supply is coming from, and ultimately the ease of access on being able to draw the wire through there to be able to charge the car.
Yeah, correct. Like with a new architect designed home, generally there's no access under the floor and the roof, so it can be fairly tricky in that regard. We'll need to do surface conduiting or dig it underground. Whichever the case, we try and make it as neat as possible.
Yeah.
But also what I guess determines the price of an installation is the existing electrics.
Right.
How old they are, whether it's three-phase, single-phase, because what we can't do is exceed the maximum demand for the home.
Right, so how do you calculate what that maximum demand is and what capacity they could charge their car at?
Yeah, well basically the capacity of a house is determined by the size of the cables coming into the house.
Yeah.
For single phase and three phase. Generally for houses within 20 years old, there's no problem. But if it's older than that or the electrics are older, we may need to upgrade from the street, new meter box and the sub-circuit to the Tesla unit.
So you told me earlier that there was one case where you did have to do the upgrade of a particular place. What was that process? I mean, that's very rare, but in the case of like a worst case scenario, what's the process of doing an upgrade if the place is really old and needs to go through that?
Yeah, so probably the worst one we've had for the client was a job out at Chatswood.
Yeah.
It's quite an old place and the electrics was old, so we basically brought in three-phase from the street, put a new meter box in, or new meter in, subboard, main earthing system, because once we touch the existing electrics, then we own it and we need to make it comply with today's standards.
Got it.
And then from there, that was on a really large block of land. So where the garage was actually 100 metres away from the meter board.
Wow.
So we had to run it underneath the house and then dig it underground, basically, run it to the side and run it all the way down to the garage, put a separate subboard in there and wire up the unit. So that's the worst case we've had. That in total came to about a $13,000 to $15,000 job from memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, very unlikely that's going to happen. Generally the price ranges between $400 to $2,000 to $3,000, depending again on access and the existing electrics.
On those conditions. In terms of the different capacity to charge, you obviously have the mobile connector, which is 10 amps, and you can go up to, I think 40 is the current highest. I think they were talking about going higher with dual chargers in the car. Obviously the capacity on the demand on the house is the limiting factor on that, but how easy is it to change that from, if the current house can only supply a certain amount and you do the upgrade, is it easy for the Tesla charger to just change over to a higher capacity?
Yeah, I guess it is, but again, a lot of the labour is spent running the cable to the charging unit.
Understand?
So look, if the client's house doesn't comply, we generally price them and try to push them towards doing a complete upgrade and doing the job properly, because at the end of the day, you want to be able to charge your car 40 to 50 k's an hour as opposed to 10 k's an hour.
Totally, yeah. So if you fork out 200 grand for a car, you kind of want to get the charging right, not have to go and fix it later on.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone in Sydney is so busy, I think we don't have time to sit and wait for our car to charge for 20 hours so we can go for a drive. Yeah.
So I think one of the benefits and one of the reasons why Tesla got you guys involved is because knowing how to get that maximum amount out of your house such that you can charge your car properly is part of the whole Tesla package. If you can't charge your car properly, then you're not going to get the full experience.
Yeah, no, totally. Again, that's why we really push for the client to do it once and do it properly.
What are some of the problems that you've come up and faced in terms of troubles or delays or anything else like that?
Look, once we're on site, there's no real troubles or delays. We normally deal with them before the start of the installation. But again, the main problem we have, and again, it's not very rare, but is the access.
Yeah.
Particularly with these new high-end homes, it can be really tricky to get cables neatly and legally from A to B.
Understand. Okay, Luke, well, thank you very much. I think we've answered most of the questions. Where can people find you? What's the easiest way to give you guys a call?
Our website, www.lmeelectrical.com.au, and all our details are on the website there, and happy to help out anyone with a Tesla.
Fantastic. And I will leave a link to in this video in the comment section below so that people can go straight over and give you a call.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for your
Cool,
time.
mate. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Cheers.